Subnautica, one of the greatest games of all time. Definitely needs more. I definitely could, I definitely need more from it. It's a game with a lot of potential. Especially when it comes to the thalassophobia. Woo! Woo! Matter of fact, I would love to see a live action version of this. I really would. Now, sure, yeah, we could have a main female character that doesn't have Mary Sue powers or isn't woke. It could possibly work. I'm being for real here. It could possibly work. It really could here. And it could be a horror movie, like a proper horror movie. But again, the main character just doesn't die. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that here. We're here to talk about, I guess you could say, what if? What if this creature or this Pokemon was in this kind of environment? What if we added a creature or a species that could pretty much thrive in just about any ocean-like environment? What if we add the Golisopod from Pokemon Sun and Moon into Subnautica? Let's begin here. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and share it with your friends, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Now, excuse me. Now, the Golisopod is a bug in water type, and believe it or not, this thing actually eats like waste products. It's very interesting. Like, as a wimpod, they'll actually be known to eat like trash and rotten things, meaning like rotting plants and probably even rotting Pokemon, meaning that some Pokemon may actually decompose, which is probably the most interesting thing I've probably ever thought about, in my opinion. But yeah, Golisopods are extremely powerful Pokemon, able to go toe to toe with some of the strongest beings in their respective regions, able to go toe to toe with Incineroars or Decidueyes and stuff like that. Now again, we'll be treating this as a species, so we'll be throwing in a species of Golisopod and just seeing how, well, what if they were able to thrive in this kind of environment? How would they do? How would they handle the predators here? Now, in all honesty, the most consistent level for a base level Pokemon is around Planet 2 Universal. However, we'll be going with the lower stat end of it, which is Mountain level, I believe. So, yeah, I guess you could say I'm lowballing just to kind of make it more interesting. But again, even if we use like the higher end scaling here, they would still be fine in my opinion. I really think that though. And plus, their versatile attacks here actually do revolve around their biology somewhat. Like pin missiles, they actually are able to open their their backs a little bit and actually fire this attack out, which is actually impressive here. You don't see many Pokemon use, their biology to their advantage here. I think mainly bug types are possibly the main ones that use their actual biology to their, I guess you could say, to their advantage, or to pretty much produce an attack here, which I find incredibly interesting. All right. So again, I'm not saying all Pokemon can't do this, but again, it's very interesting to see how far this really has come here for Pokemon, especially bug types. Because let's be real, bug types really don't get a lot of love in the show. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, it's kind of weird how Ash never caught a bug type after I think his last bug type was in Unova. Wow. It's actually pretty interesting. He hasn't caught another bug type in a while, huh? But hey, anyway, let's let's talk about it. Where would these people, or where would this colony or tribe, if you will, whichever one, or this, I guess you say like this pod would pretty much flourish. Now, in all honesty, I do think the coral reef area would actually be perfect for them, or maybe some of the Subnautica's caves or the safe zone caves. You see, these Pokemon are still capable of breeding and still capable of reproducing, just like any other any other animal here. And I think the coral reef area will actually be a very good place for them to, I guess you could say, build their homes and maybe even hunt food. Now again, with Golisopods and Pokemon in general, it is a Pokemon eat Pokemon world here. I mean, we literally see this when Ash's Pidgeot almost ate Caterpie. Like, this means it's very consistent for Pokemon to actually hunt and eat each other, which again I do find very interesting. But it's just like, dang, you really got to question though, what Pokemon eats what Pokemon here? Like, it's just a very interesting concept. But back to the homes, I do think the coral reefs could be very interesting, especially if they're able to like burrow beneath the sand and I guess you say kind of wait for the prey to come along and snatch it. However, I do think the caves or maybe even some of the forest areas would actually be very suitable. Now, when it comes to the creatures I think that we eat, again, some of the fishes would obviously be on the menu. You would have some of the sharks, the cryptosuchus, the I'd probably even the what's it called? The rock smasher crab or whatever. But I actually think probably a more common prey would be sand sharks. The reason I'm saying that is because they're kind of just, they're low to the ground, they're easy to get, they're easy to spot too. And with Golisopod being able to use moves like liquidation to probably expose the sand, poison to probably paralyze their prey, and then probably throat chop to pretty much get that prey in general. Again, it's very consistent for these guys to eat other animals, to eat other prey items. Now, as for predators, if we did the logic like, okay, they're a part of the verse here, then maybe they could be preyed upon by a leviathan. Like, again, if we just apply them to the same, I guess you say fundamentals as the verse is what I'm trying to say here. I just realized what I said earlier, my bad. But again, I don't really see a Reaper Leviathan being a problem to them normally. Maybe trying to get some of their young ones. Yeah, I could definitely see a Reaper Leviathan trying to get some wind pods here. It's very consistent. It's very easy for him to probably eat and snatch up a wind pod here. Maybe. I mean, first stage Pokemon have like building level attack potency most of the time, and sometimes even wall level. So it really depends though. So wind pod would be on the menu. However, Golisopods I don't think would be. And simply the reason why is because they might even turn the tables on a Reaper Leviathan, probably luring it into an area where they could trap it in the coral reefs and then they could just jump it. Or probably just one lures it in while the other one kind of just goes in and starts just wailing on it with multiple poison jabs until it dies. And again, they could always one-shot it, so it's really not hard to suggest what would happen if a Golisopod went up against a Reaper Leviathan. I mean, it's pretty consistent on what is going to happen. So they will probably be able to use that and probably feed on it for weeks, probably even make tools and stuff like that. But again, I just think that Golisopod really wouldn't have too much trouble with a lot of the creatures of the ocean. Really wouldn't. I don't think they would attack Sea Emperor Leviathans because they're really peaceful and they actually feed on like microscopic organisms. However, Reaper Leviathans may actually be a common, pest to a Golisopod's family. I actually do see that, Golisopods would probably, go out of their way to take out a Reaper Leviathan if it's a common nuisance. And the thing is, it really is a common nuisance in the Subnautica games. Also, one of the most terrifying ones in the games. However, when it comes to like the chelicerates and stuff like that, I don't know. I don't think a chelicerate is a very big problem for a Golisopod here. I actually think they might be delicious for a Golisopod here, especially once they like probably crack open the shell, and it may even have like some type of, I guess you could say like crustacean level or crustacean like meat, so that the Golisopod would just go in there, maybe even try to go out of its way to drag a chelicerate to probably a volcanic area, or maybe something like of a volcano area, an underwater volcano, and maybe even cook the meat. These Pokemon are intelligent enough to actually, roast their meat and eat it. It's actually pretty common. Even with Pokemon like Claw, who are pretty much well known to be eaten by trainers. Like you could actually they'll take off their own limbs to feed their own trainers, and it's actually good. They have like self-regeneration and stuff like that. It's weird, it's scary, but again, it's in some like weird twisted way, it's kind of like interesting in my opinion. But it is what it is here. Now again, like I did say earlier, they could prefer caves, and it's not too hard to see why. They could be cave dwellers, and this would actually put them in like very little competition. They probably will have to clear out some of the carnivores, maybe make it their own, safe space or whatever. But again, this could actually provide a good safe haven for the wind pods and stuff. Now, as for going to like the volcanic areas and dealing with sea dragons, I don't think they would really have to. You see, sea dragons only come up probably once every few years, maybe. And this is really because they prey on the Reaper Leviathans. And it's possible that these Reaper Leviathans could feed them for like years on end. I mean, they are pretty big creatures, and they just lure them down to where, or force them down to where they're at, and the Reaper Leviathan kind of just boils itself alive here. Now, again, I do think Golisopod would be fine in, these kind of underwater volcanic areas. But again, it's just they really wouldn't have to deal with it here. Just the same way I don't think they would have to deal with the glow whales. The glow whales are not even a problem. They might be a food source, they might not. They might just be, just like the creatures they probably go to see on a regular. And maybe some tourist attractions for them. You never know. But again, if a Golisopod was to really interact with these creatures, I don't think they would be in too many environments. I don't even think they would be in the void either. The void might be just like a travel space for them. But again, I don't know. I think they would pretty much live comfortable lives going through caves, the kelp forest, going through whatchamacallit, I just said it earlier, the coral reef area. And again, they wouldn't be bothered by really a lot of predators. The only predators that I could really see are just ones to their, to the wimpods. That's pretty much about it. And I think a wimpod is intelligent enough, probably the smartest creature there, to really survive it. But anyway, that's going to be all today, you guys. If a Golisopod was there, I think they would actually be the dominant life forms of Subnautica. But hey, let me know what you guys think down below. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.